Okay, so let's put this all together and see how it looks in terms of writing a paragraph. Remember, you have 150 word minimum and you have 20 minutes. How do you do that? We have talked about this graph on the screen, which is a single line graph of describing the number of disease instances in some land, right? Some fictitious place. We want to put this together and see how we can put it into a paragraph. So we've identified 4 main trends. Now this is very important. You have to identify 3 to 4, I would say even, I probably wouldn't say 5, I would say 3 or 4 main trends that you can identify that are very, very clear. If I were to look just visually at this graph, and I'm looking at the chart now, I'm going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 trends, or 4 trends. The first trend, if you look with me on the graph, is that from 1960 to 65, there's slight increase. And then from 65 to 1975, there's a big increase, right? And then that number stays the same from 70 to 80. And then after 80, there's a decline until 1990. And from 90 to 95, there's a stabilization. Those are your trends. Now you have to describe those trends in your writing. So if we look at identifying those trends and then we put them into a paragraph, we'll see how that works. So number 1, an increase from 1960 to 1970. Okay. Now if I were to ask you if that increase is big or small, you probably would say it's probably small or medium. There are words that we use for that, and I'm going to show you in the next video. Number 2, another increase from 1970 to 1975. Always keep in mind the extent to which the increase or decrease occurs. Is it a big increase? Is it a medium increase? Is it a small decline? Or is it a very, very big, rapid decline? Something that is noticeable. So from 1970 to 75, you can see that there you go from 200 to 500. That's pretty sizable. No change from 75 to 80. And then from 80 to 90, you go from 500 to 0. That's a very, very big decline. And then it stabilizes from 1990 to 1995. Let's take a look at how that would appear in a paragraph. Now here's a model paragraph for how that should look. In 1960, the number of cases stood at about 100. Now as I read, I want you to follow me on the graph. And then the number rose gradually to 200 cases over the next 10 years. You can say over the next decade. It means the exact same thing. After that, it increased sharply to a peak of 500 cases in 1975. This was an increase of 300 cases in just 5 years. You have to be specific in this part of the essay because you have to mention dates and numbers and patterns. Dates, numbers, patterns. Because that's going to give the examiner an indication that you understand how to interpret and analyze the trends that you are seeing. Between 1975 and 1980, the X disease rate remained stable at 500 cases. Then it plummeted to 0 in 1990, and from 1990 to 1995, some land was free of disease. I want you to take notice of some vocabulary in this paragraph. If you look in the first sentence, it says rose gradually. Next sentence, it says increased sharply. Then you see in the next paragraph, you see remained stable. So you have a pattern of verb-adverb that we're going to talk about in the next video that will help you describe the patterns we're talking about. I'll see you there.